I had been trying to ask you as to why is it that the Ugandan parliament does not assert its powers? Is it waiting for President Yoweri Museveni to tell it what to do? The Constitution provides for that.
No, not at all. I think you see, you have to understand the nature of the Ugandan government. You should remember that President Museveni, as I said, came to power by use of guns. He was not elected in 1986 when he came into government. And
I said that you were part of that, correct?
Yes, very correct. He ran government for the first 10 years as head of the executive, as president, and also as head of parliament, as speaker of parliament. He was heading both the House of Parliament and the executive for 10 years. After the first 10 years, then we had elections, and he was elected as president, but in a one-party system. So it was the party for which he was the chairman that was the one in parliament entirely, and which he was heading in the executive. It is only in the last 7 years that some form of a multi-party dispensation was ushered in law. And this, though it is there in law, in practice, essentially, Uganda is really a military dictatorship. The military that took over power 27 years ago is still the military that has the power. So President Museveni determines who is elected, who comes to parliament. If he doesn't want you to be elected to come to parliament, he will stop you from coming to parliament. He provides all the money for the elections. He provides all the military and security institutions for supporting those who want to come into parliament or to get elected. And so anybody who comes to parliament is beholden to the president. And that is why you find that the parliament is simply a rubber stamp. What we've seen in this death of the Honorable Nebanda, I think is something that is indeed going to awaken these NRM sycophants who are in parliament and other members of parliament, that we must revisit the whole question of the common good of the country, what the country requires. Because as you saw,
now, I understand, Dr. Besigye, I understand the background information. There's no question about that. But the fact of the matter is, there is a Ugandan constitution which anybody can access, and it clearly defines the separation of powers. The Ugandan parliament has a very well-educated, experienced lady as a speaker. How come she does not assert the powers of that particular institution?
Well, the background is what I have told you, that the speaker only heads members of parliament. The speaker is as strong as the members in the house are. If the members of parliament are weak and compromised inherently, as I have said, then the speaker will obviously be weak. In fact, I must give a lot of credit to the current speaker, the Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, for trying to, assert the right of parliament and the independence of parliament, and for which she has obviously started facing the fire. I have just been reading the local press at home that she was grilled over the weekend at the president's home, where she was summoned and indeed the riot act read to her. And as I have said, the parliament has now, the entire parliament of the members of parliament of the movement have been summoned by the president. So the speaker can only be as strong as the members of parliament, and the members of parliament are extremely weak as we talk now. But secondly, the reason that our leaders indeed are weak is, I think, to do with the kind of, I think, education and leadership development that we have had or not had over the last 50 years.
I see.
Because as I have said, really, we have developed all these 50 years through autocratic regimes. So there is no tradition. There is no culture. It's only beginning to emerge, and I am very grateful to the members of the NRM Parliament who are asserting themselves. Of course, some spent Christmas in the prison. For members of the ruling party who are members of parliament, for coming out to say there is a problem here. They have been in prison. Some are still in prison.
Very interesting.
So it's a struggle that I think is encouraging.
Very interesting. Of course, when you talk about prison, you are talking about a Dr. Baliomunsi who spent his Christmas